I'm Paul Avner. Behind me is a 1,100-gallon liquid system. Today we're going to show you the steps to take to mount this liquid system onto a Rogator chassis. Now with the liquid system in place, we can go ahead and start removing the chains for the overhead hoist. Now, after we got the lift hoist off, we're going to go and we're going to remove the front boom lift supports. Now we have the front boom rest support removed from the booms and the center tank strap. We're going to lift it up, move it out of the way. Now with the system set, the overhead hoist and parts are removed, we're going to go back down and we're going to attach all the system to chassis hold downs. Now we're going to start putting down the system to chassis tie downs. The front one is the spring tension tie down. Remember, we want to tighten this down so we get about just less than 1/4 of an inch of space between the spring coils. Now with the front tie down secure, we'll move to the rear. Now we're going to go and we're going to attach the rear system tie down. Now with the rear system tie down in place, we're going to go and attach the tie downs for the rear boom tree. Now with the tie downs for the rear boom tree secure, then go ahead and put the back braces on. Now with the cross member secure, we can go back, reattach the air lines, and then we can air up the chassis. I'm going to remove the plugs from the air tank and then install the air lines for the boom cleanout and the foam marker. Now with the air line secure, we can start up the chassis and air up the system. Now we're going to turn the air suspension dump valve back to on and we're going to fill the airbags. Now, our next step for installing the liquid system, we're going to reinstall the hardware for the polychemical eductor. Now with the hardware reinstalled for the chemical inductor, we can start installing the hydraulics from the system to the chassis. We're going to untie the hydraulic hoses for the boom motion block, and then we're going to reinstall them to the track block at the rear axle. Now with the hydraulic lines for the boom motion block attached, we can turn our attention to the hydraulic lines underneath of the machine. Our next step in assembling the hydraulics is to attach the return hose from the PWM block. Our next step is to remove the cover plate and install the hydraulic pump for the system. Now we're going to remove the cover plate off the back of the pump assembly so we can install the hydraulic system pump. Now with the cover plate removed, we can install the pump. Our next step is to install the pump into the back of the pump assembly. Now with the pump installed, we can go back and attach the line from the PWM block, and then we'll attach the suction line to the hydraulic reservoir. Now we're going to install the pressure line onto the hydraulic pump. First, we're going to remove the cap. Then we'll remove the plug from the hose. Next, we're going to attach the suction line to the hydraulic reservoir. Next, we're going to install the suction line from the pump to the hydraulic reservoir. Now, with the suction line, our hydraulic hookups are complete. The first part in the installation of the plumbing, we're going to apply a little bit of silicone to this gasket face. Next, we're going to install the Y manifold onto the back of the pump. Next, we're going to plug in the electrical connector for the front reload valve. Next, we're going to install the suction line from the sump to the pump. Now with the suction line from the sump to the pump is installed, we can go back and attach the front reload to the pump. Next, we're going to attach the front reload line to the pump manifold. Now with the front reload attached, our next step is to go back and reattach all the electrical connections between the system and the chassis. First part to hooking up the electrical system is to plug in the work light number 3. That's for the lights on the liquid system. Next step in attaching the electrical from the system to the chassis is to install the system harness. This concludes the installation of the liquid system onto the Rogator chassis. This would be a good time to go through and check your hydraulic hose routings, add protection where needed, and secure those lines. Remember to also check the electrical harnesses that we've installed, putting the system to the chassis. It's also a good time now to take a look at your hydraulic oil reservoir and make sure that it's at its proper levels. Start up the machine, check it for leaks, and then go spraying.